Hi guys, and welcome to this other video. I hope you guys are doing great. So today in this video we are going to continue in our series of video on FortiGate VLANs. So today we are going to talk about traffic shaping or traffic sharing on the 4 VLANs that we created in the previous videos. So talking about the previous video, so today we are on lab 2, security and traffic shaping or traffic optimization. So we already done another video talking about security, the security part, so SSL and access restriction. So today we'll be jumping on optimization and prioritization of traffic. So here we'll talk about managing quality of services or quality of service. So we'll see how to shape or share traffic through the different traffic shaper that are available on FortiGate. So we'll do this second part, optimization and traffic prioritization, and we'll do the third part, which is VLAN and SD-WAN. So in the VLAN and SD-WAN, this is related if you have like two FortiGate or two ISP that are connected to your FortiGate firewall. So you would like, for example, to redirect one or two VLANs to a particular ISP and redirect the other VLANs to another ISP. So we'll talk about this in the third section. So as I said, this is the lab 2 on our activities on VLANs. So in the lab 1, we did the lab 1 where we put in place this infrastructure where we have a FortiGate device, two Cisco switches. For each switch, we enable VLANs, two VLANs for each switches, and we configure inter-VLAN communication so that traffic can be routed from one VLAN to another. So we did this during this lab 1. So after completing this lab 2 on the activities on VLAN, we'll jump in the activities for VDOMs where we'll implement all these activities on VDOMs. So this is the series of video related to this initial video where we started with FortiGate VDOMs, where we explain some key concepts related to VDOMs, some use cases, some comparison between VLAN and VDOMs, primary characteristics of VDOM, prerequisite if you want to implement VDOM. So we decided to start this series of video with VLANs before jumping on the VDOMs, so that when implementing traffic or implementing the labs on VDOMs, we will have a better understanding on what are the main differences between VLAN and VDOMs and what are the enhancement or the features that we have, the improvement that we have on VDOM that were not available on the VLANs. So as I said, let's jump back on the diagram that I showed initially so that we can explain and put in place the traffic optimization for our VLANs. So as I explained in the previous video, when you are configuring VLANs on your infrastructure, it is good to define or to do some segmentation on your network. But the most interesting part of that is to make sure that security and optimization works fine. So we'll just talk about security. So now let's talk about optimization. So talking about traffic optimization here is that you need to make sure that, for example, the bandwidth that you have on your FortiGate device, you need to make sure you are sharing that bandwidth efficiently on your VLANs. So let's take, for example, in this case, our FortiGate device. So for example, here we have four VLANs. So normally in a company where you have employees, servers, voice over IP and visitors, most of the time the VLAN that will require more traffic or the VLAN that will produce more traffic on the day-to-day basis is going to be the employee VLAN. So because the employee will be accessing multiple other services on the internet. So for this case, for example, in this image, we've decided that we'll be allocating 50% of the bandwidth to the employee VLAN. Secondly, we'll be giving server VLAN, because on server VLAN we have multiple services that will require to go online and do some updates or contacts or other services, or some services on your server VLAN. You have like some services that depends or that are tightly dependent on another services that are on the internet. So we've decided that we'll be giving 25% of our bandwidth to the server VLAN. Voice over IP will be giving 15%. It's not all the time that we'll be doing voice, will be required voice services on your network. So we are giving 15%, and for visitors we'll be giving 10. So the visitor VLAN will just give 10, but depending on the company, if it is a company where you are offering like services to clients and you have some visitor that need to come on your premises, and they will need to stay on your premises for like some couple of minutes. In that case, you need to provide this 10%. But if your company don't have much visitors, so you can reduce this percentage maybe like to 5%. Then the other side, we have here what we call the guaranteed bandwidth and the maximum bandwidth. As you know, if you are giving 50% of the traffic, it means we are guaranteeing, for example, 500 megabytes per second for the VLAN, for the employee VLAN. But the maximum bandwidth that they can use, we can go like 800. It means if at a certain point, employees, the traffic generated by employees need more than 500 megabytes, then if the other VLANs are not using their allocated bandwidth or their guaranteed bandwidth, then that bandwidth can be used by the employee VLAN. But the employee VLAN should not go greater than 800 megabytes per second. So they will be limited to 800 megabytes per second. So same thing here on the other VLANs. You have the guaranteed bandwidth, and you have the maximum bandwidth. So this is for bandwidth allocation. The other part of traffic sharing is to talk about traffic priority. So yes, employee VLAN is the VLAN that will consume or that will produce more traffic on the day-to-day basis. But the most critical or the high priority VLAN or the high priority VLAN here will be the voice over IP VLAN, because in your company, if a user needs to get a call, maybe I don't know, maybe Microsoft Teams, Zoom, or any other voice over IP service that you will be using, you need to make sure that if your users want to do some calls, at that moment, this 150 megabyte per second bandwidth should be available. So that's why you will make the voice over IP VLAN to be of highest priority. Second would be the server VLAN. So talking about priority, voice over IP should be the highest priority. Servers should come at the second position. Employee as medium priority, and visitors as low priority. So just this to let you understand the difference that you have between bandwidth allocation and traffic priority. You need to make sure that in case there is traffic on voice over IP, that VLAN should be prioritized and bandwidth should be made available for that VLAN. So that's the difference between traffic priority and bandwidth allocation. And here you have the DSCP code. So these are the codes that you can input this code when creating QoS shapers. So for highest priority, the DSCP code is 46. For high priority, 26, medium priority, 18, and low priority is 0. So depending on the FortiOS that you have on your FortiGate device, you will either be able to put this information or you will not be able. So this is dependent on the FortiOS that you are using and the type of license that you are also using. That's where you'll be able to either put this information or not. So this diagram here was to explain and to make you understand that putting in place VLANs is good. You can segment your network, you can isolate network, isolate traffic, But if you don't control, or if you don't guarantee some minimum security and bandwidth allocation and priority as we are showing here, then you might mess up your infrastructure, and you have maybe users on a VLAN. At a certain point, they need they need some service, they need to access some critical service, but there is no bandwidth available for them. You have users, maybe they want to perform some call with external client, or with some customer, or some partners. They are not able to perform the calls because all the bandwidth is actually being used maybe by visitors or by employees. So making sure you are shaping and your traffic sharing is is efficiently, make sure the bandwidth and the service is efficiently shared or efficiently configured on your network. So let's jump on our FortiGate device to proceed with these settings. So here to configure traffic shaping. So what we are going to do is to go under policies and objects. So below here you will see you have this many traffic shaping. So just click here under traffic shaping, and you will see these three other menus that are available here. So you have here traffic shaper, traffic shaping policies, and traffic shaping profiles. So what we are going to do is here under traffic shapers is where we are going to create our shapers. So from here you can see that by default on your FortiGate device there are already some traffic shapers that are already available. So you see you have this shared traffic shapers here with the guarantee bandwidth, maximum bandwidth, bandwidth utilization, drop byte, and priority. So here what we are going to do, as we explained in the this file, in this on this slide, we are going to create like 4 shapers. So let's proceed with the creation of 4 shapers. So here we are going to start with create. I'll just call this QoS for employee. So let's just call it like this. QoS for employee. So as we mentioned, the priority here will be medium. So here for the bandwidth units, we can go either we'll go with megabytes. So as we said, we are exactly in this scenario where our FortiGate device can handle 1 gig of bandwidth inbound and outbound. So here we are going with megabytes. So from here we have maximum and we have guaranteed. As we said, we are giving 800 for maximum and 500 for the guaranteed bandwidth. So here also, as I explained, you can add the DSCP information here. So depending on the priority of this traffic or of this shaper, you might include here either you are including 48, or let's say 46, 26, 18, or 0, depending on the traffic priority. So in this video, we will not be talking about, we will not be going in detail on the DSCP option or feature. So here we are good to go on this. As I mentioned earlier here, as I mentioned in the on the slide here, you can manage the QoS, or you can do the shaper through shared traffic or through per IP traffic. So here, as you can see here on top, here on the type, you see you have here shared and you have here per IP shaper. So if you are going with shared IP, as we explained in the other slide, if we are going with shared traffic, it means that we are sharing a maximum of 800 megabytes per second for all the users who will be using this QoS or this traffic shaper. It means if at a given time you have like 10 users who are using this traffic shaper, then all the 10 users will be sharing the 800 megabytes, the maximum of 800 megabytes, or the guaranteed 500 megabytes. In the other type, you have per IP shaper. Here, per IP shaper here, if you decide, for example, let's enable all of this. Here, if you go on megabytes, so from here, you are able to enter information such as maximum bandwidth, maximum concurrent connection. But all this information, maximum concurrent TCP and UDP connections, but all this information applies per IP. It means, for example, if I'm putting here, let's say I'm putting like 50 megabyte per second as being the maximum bandwidth, it means for each device, each IP address that will be affected by this traffic shepherd, that IP address will be getting a maximum bandwidth of 50, right? 50 megabyte per second. So this applies per IP and not as shared. So let's begin by creating a shared a traffic shepherd of shared type. So we'll go quality of service employee, all is good so far. I'll hit OK. We'll do the same here with so I'll create this for the QoS for servers. So I'm going now with QoS for servers. I'll create this per IP. So here I'll go with megabyte per second. So for each FortiGate or for each server or each device that is on the cell will be applied, for which we're applying this per IP shepherd, traffic shepherd. Each traffic or each device will have like 50 megabyte per second as the maximum bandwidth, right? Maximum bandwidth 50 megabyte per second. Are we going to check about the maximum concurrent connections? So you can decide what are the maximum concurrent that you'll be using here. For example, I can go with 10. Maximum TCP and UDP connection. You can also precise or provide this information depending on your infra and depending if you know you have the information about this this connection for your servers, for example. So here I'm not going to use this, so I'm good with the maximum bandwidth and the maximum concurrent connection for the QoS for servers. So I'll hit OK. So here I'll do the same with QoS for visitors. So as we said, for visitors we'll be going with visitor, as we said, will be low megabyte. So for visitor maximum, we said will be 100 megabyte and the guarantee will be 100. So as I said, it really depends on your infra. So take those information in consideration when setting up these traffic shapers. So hit OK. So the last one I will be creating will be QoS. Just say QoS. So this one will be for voice over IP. Okay, so it is going to be priority high. So as I explained, the information that you have here will depend on the FortiOS that you're actually running. So I'm running a FortiOS that is prior to 7.2, so that's why maybe I don't have more than these 3 information here. So I'm going with high from here, megabyte. So here we said maximum is going to be 250, I guess. So we said for VoIP maximum is 200, then the guarantee 150. Okay, so maximum here 200, the guaranteed will be 150 megabytes. So I'm keeping it also under shared traffic shepherd. Okay, so now that we have our traffic shepherd, as you can see here on the traffic shepherd, we have like 2 sections. The first section is per IP, where you see the QoS that we created for servers, and the second part is shared, where you have all the other or all the shared traffic shepherds. So when the traffic shepherds are created, now what you need to do is to go under traffic shaping policies. So here the traffic shaping policies works like the firewall policies that you have directly here under the policy and object. So here, as same as you can create firewall policies here to steer traffic between a source and a destination. Also here under the menu traffic shaping, under this submenu here, traffic shaping policies, you can create traffic shaping policies. So let's create the first traffic policy. So we'll go with, I'll just, on this example, I'll just call it employees to, let's say we want to control the traffic from the employees to the internet, for example, right? So here I'm just going with this source interface will be the employee interface, and the outgoing interface here is going to be the 1. Remember, the 1 is the port 1, as we are using it here, will be the interface that is connected to the internet. So the source here is going to be our employee object or the employee address object. The destination here, we can go, for now we can go with all. Then services, we can also go with all. So here you have these two categories here. Means if you want to apply maybe an application, so maybe we'll see this when creating this same traffic shaping policy for voice over IP. So I'll come back on this one when you are on the VoIP. So here it mentioned that if traffic matches this, so if traffic matches the following settings, then apply this shaper below or apply these other conditions here. So if traffic matches these settings here, then apply this shaper, so enable shaper here. Then pay attention here because there's crucial information here. So here when you hit on apply shaper, you will see here you have shared shaper. I can hit here on shared shaper and select what or which shared shaper I want to use for this policy. So here I have my QoS for employee that I've created. So pay attention here, as I said, you have the shared shaper here and you have the reverse shaper here. So the shared shaper here applies for outgoing traffic. If you do the setting here and you do not select reverse shaper here, it means you are applying this policy only for outgoing traffic. You will not apply it for incoming traffic. It means, for example, as we apply on the QoS of employee, we said the maximum bandwidth will be 800 megabytes, while the guarantee bandwidth will be 500 megabytes. If you don't enable reverse here, then these settings will apply only for the traffic in outbound direction, will not apply on inbound direction. So if you want it for inbound direction, you hit here reverse, then you do the same, you select QoS for employee. So you need it only when you are doing when you are using a shared shepherd. If you are using a per IP shepherd, you don't need a reverse shared shepherd on per IP shepherd, right? So here we just apply this. So all is good so far here from the employee. So I'll hit OK. So we can do the same. We can create the shapers for the other VLANs, right? So I'll go and create servers to internet. So here source is servers, destination or outgoing is going to be the one interface, source server object, destination all, services all. Here under applied shaper. So here remember the shaper that we created for server was a per IP shaper. So here I'm going with the per IP shaper and I will select the QoS server that we created, right? So I'll hit OK. So just creating the one now for voice over IP. So let's say voice over IP to internet. Voice over IP to internet. So here we'll go with VoIP. Outgoing is 1. Source is VoIP address. So destination we might select. Initially we'll select all. Then services here also will select all. But here under application, as we are talking about VoIP, it means that that VLAN or that subnet is related to everything that is based on VoIP. So here you can also decide to apply this traffic only to the VoIP applications or only application that is related to VoIP. So here, for example, I can type here VoIP. So this will show me like some apps that uses VoIP. Or I can go directly under category here. I hit category and I will get everything related to VoIP. So here, this is the category for all the apps that uses VoIP. So I can just select this category from here. Then all looks good. So here also under apply shaper, I'm going with shared shaper, QoS VoIP, and I want it to be inbound and outbound. So pay attention that in some cases, in some use cases, you might want to control the traffic only in one direction. So that's why here you have it both for the outgoing direction and for the inbound direction. So this is why the information, or maybe this is why it is separated here for the shared shepherd. So all's good, hit OK. Do the same with visitors to internet. So source visitors, outgoing is 1, visitors address, destination all, services all, shared shepherd, QoS visitors, reverse QoS visitors. Okay, so all is good so far. So here you have the different information for the traffic shaping policies. You have the names, the source, the destination, the outgoing interfaces, the action, so the action here are going to be the applied shepherd, traffic shepherds that was created previously. And you have here the shared shepherd selected, the reverse shepherd selected, the pair IP shepherd selected, services, and all those other information. So if we go back here under traffic shepherds, so normally here when traffic start will start generating on the selected shepherds here, from here you will be able to see what is the bandwidth that is actually utilized, and you also see what are the percentage or the packets that are being dropped. So to see what packets are being dropped, so the drop packets are packets when the utilized bandwidth is already greater than the maximum. Let's say, for example, you said for employees, you want the maximum of 800 megabytes to be used. So if at a given point you have, let's say, 850 megabytes that are actually used, you will see here under bandwidth utilization, you will see 800 here, and the extra 50 megabytes, you will see them here under drop byte, right? So this is how you see it. So to do a simple example, what I'm going to do from here, let me go directly here on my workstation, on my environment here. So I'll connect on this PC. What I'll try to do is to check bandwidth that is actually being received by this workstation. So let's check with maybe 2 tools. First, okay, let me check how many am I getting, how much bandwidth do I have here. So pay attention, I'm actually, so if I also check it here on my workstation, so here I'm actually testing it directly on my physical workstation. So I'm checking it on these 2 devices. But pay attention that here on my diagram here, this FortiGate Firewall is getting access through the internet, but the internet is like based on my physical workstation, right? So it's not taking it directly from the source or from the one interface of my ISP. So it is taking it from the Ethernet port on my physical device. So that's why on here, okay, for example, we see here that on the workstations or the PC one here, we have like 2.4 for the download or 3 megabyte for the download. Okay, so let's go back directly here under this under this employee shepherd here. So what we are going to do here is we are going to, for testing purposes, we are going to say the maximum bandwidth we can get on this is 3 megabytes. Then the guaranteed will be like 2. So let's do an example like this. So I'll hit OK. So what I'll try to do now is to generate some internet traffic on this workstation. So I'll go maybe on YouTube and start watching some videos. So pay attention that the information that you configure here will only work if firewall policy here is enabled for that traffic. I mean, for example, if you've configured maybe traffic shaping policies here to allow employee to go on the internet, this will only work if on the entire FortiGate device here under firewall policies. So as you can see here, we have this firewall policy here, employees to internet. If you don't have this firewall policy here, then the configured policy that you put under traffic shaping here will not work. So if you go here back again under traffic shapers, you can see now that here, for example, for employees, as I just enabled YouTube, I've not even started playing any video here on the PC. You can see now that directly here on the employee traffic shaper, you see now that the bandwidth that is actually utilized, this is it, and the drop bandwidth is at the moment is the drop byte. So this is because the actual consumption or the actual bandwidth, you will not see here exactly the maximum amount here, because this information varies from seconds to seconds. So this information here will change at each second. Do not expect to have the same information here. So that's how you monitor your traffic here. And so this means if, for example, you've configured these traffic shapers for testing purposes, and you are in the production environment, so you might receive some calls or some requests from some users, maybe users who are affected by the QoS employees. They will start telling you that actually we are facing issues to access internet. So at that moment, you understand that, okay, maybe it is related to the shaping that you did. Then from this interface, you can see exactly, okay, I can see that for this traffic shepherd, they are actually drop bytes. So that means the shaping or the sharing that was done for bandwidth is not working fine, and you need maybe to adjust, or you maybe need to readjust them. As you can also see from here, we are not really able to enable YouTube from here, because the bandwidth that we have allowed for this VLAN is not sufficient to display maybe to display YouTube, right? So this is how you do your testing. This is how you check your environment to make sure that the shaping and the sharing of information is is efficient for your network, and you make sure that you give the proper VLANs. You configure the each VLAN with the proper bandwidth that is required for their traffic or their day-to-day traffic. So guys, that's it.